I mean, every election we've now seen this, Dana. 2016, it was a dossier that they used. They knew it was false. They used it to go get a warrant to spy on his campaign. 2018, it was the Mueller investigation.
Okay.
2020,
let me just
Biden
stop you.
laptop story with the 51 former intel officials. 2022.
Let me stop you right there, sir. First of all, I want to go back to just one of the things that you said.
They're indicting him before the 2024 presidential race.
July 21st.
Every single election, they've done something.
I freaking love Jim Jordan. I watched this guy like on C-SPAN and stuff, just tearing into everybody and just holding his own against anyone, and just, he's brilliant. I love him. And watching him take CNN apart is just chef's kiss. I'm going to let you guys watch the highlights from this video. You know, it's like a 10-minute thing, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit. It is just great stuff. You got to watch this whole thing. Leave a like and a subscribe, and make sure you comment and let me know how much you love Jim Jordan, too.
Here with me is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. The indictment does say, as I mentioned, the documents included U.S. defense, nuclear capabilities, potential U.S. vulnerabilities to a military attack. They were kept in unsecure areas like a bathroom, a ballroom, a bedroom. And the indictment says that Donald Trump lied to lawyers, his own lawyers, which resulted in false statements to the FBI so that he could keep those documents. Is all of that, any of that, acceptable to you?
Dana, the standard is clear. The standard is Navy versus Egan, a 1988 case, unanimous decision from the court that Justice Blackmun wrote the opinion, and it said the president's ability to classify and control access to national security information flows from the Constitution. He decides. He alone decides. He said he declassified this material. He can put it wherever he wants. He can handle it however he wants. That's the law. That's the standard. And Jack Smith can do all this 37 different counts and whatever he wants to do, but that doesn't change the standard. The standard that the Supreme Court in a unanimous decision said was that he can classify and he can control access. He has the sole authority.
When he's showing a document to somebody who doesn't have a security clearance, I might add, he says explicitly that it is classified. He didn't declassify it.
Dana, he has said time and time again he's declassified all this material. This is the most political thing I have ever seen. They have been out to get President. They're indicting President Trump on Tuesday for having material that he declassified that was protected by the Secret Service. And the people who are doing it is the administration, the Justice Department, from his opponent in the upcoming presidential election. I mean, this is as political as it gets. And frankly, Dana, it's part of a pattern. We've seen it time and time again with the president over the last 7 years. They try one thing, then they try another. They've continued to go after him. And I think anyone with common sense can see that.
Do you have evidence that the president actually declassified these documents before he took them?
I go on the president's word, and he said he did. And the Supreme Court said that's what counts. So we can have all the things Jack Smith wants to say, but everyone sees this for the political operation it is. The standard is the standard. I didn't set the standard. The Constitution and the Supreme Court did, and they did it in a unanimous fashion, and it was opinion written by Justice Blackmun. So that's the standard. That's the fact. Jack Smith can write whatever he wants, Dana. 2016, it was a dossier that they used. They knew it was false. They used it to go get a warrant to spy on his campaign. 2018, it was the Mueller investigation.
Okay.
2020,
let me just stop you.
Laptop story with the 51 former intel officials. 2022.
Let me stop you right there, sir. First of all, I want to go back to just one of the things that you said.
They're indicting him before the 2024 presidential race.
There are classified documents in the bathroom, in a ballroom stage, critical information strewn on the floor. Does that look secure to you?
Again, Dana, the standard is the standard. The President of the United States, he can classify and he can control access to national security information however he wants. That's the standard. That's the Constitution. That's what the court said in Navy versus Egan, a 1988 case. I don't know how many more times I can say it.
Okay,
so if he wants to store material in a box in a bathroom, if he wants to store it in a box on a stage, he can do that. That is just what the law and the standard is. So again, I think this just underscores how political this whole thing is.
I want to talk about the alleged obstruction in the indictment. I want to talk about the alleged obstruction in this indictment. Here is what
you can't obstruct when there was not an underlying crime.
Here is what the indictment said. The indictment said Trump directed Nada, who's his personal aide, to move boxes before Trump attorney won's June 2nd review, so that many boxes were not searched and many documents responsive to the May 11th subpoena could not be found. and were in fact not found by Trump Attorney 1. Why was he trying so hard to hide them?
No, it doesn't bother me because, again, you can't have obstruction of something when there was no underlying crime. The standard is set. The standard is what the Constitution says, and the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, has the ability to classify and control access to information. That's what the Constitution and the court have said. So you can't obstruct when you can't obstruct when there's no underlying crime.
He is not the President of the United States.
That is the fundamental flaw.
And you're just taking him at his word.
When he was president, he declassified the material.
He says point blank.
He
says point blank on tape, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. He says in his own words, it's on tape as part of this indictment that he did not declassify the material. Therefore, it is classified.
Saying he could have is not the same as saying he didn't.
He said now I can't.
He has declassified this material. He said that now he can't, right, because he's not president now, but when he was president, he did declassify. He said that.
Which means that what he was holding was classified.
No, not if he declassissified it when he was president of the United States, for goodness sake.
But he's saying point blank in this audio tape that he did not declassify it.
This is what this truly is an affront to the rule of law. It's an affront to consistent application of the law. You have Secretary Clinton, who had classified material on a server. She was not president of the United States. She was Secretary Clinton. You have that happen. Nothing happens to her. When you have two people who do the same thing, and one has the standard that I've talked about, but the only one who gets indicted is the Republican. The only one who gets indicted is the one who was actually president, who did it the right way. Oh my goodness. That is what the American people see. And the other thing that troubles me about this, and this is total affront to the rule of law, Jack Smith went and got the president lawyer's notes. You talk about a violation of fundamental liberty.
Let's talk about that in a second.
Get access to
Sir, I want to go back.
Privilege.
There's a lot to unpack here. I want to go back to something that you said.
And they violated that.
We were going back about the classified documents, but there's something else I want to point out, which is that the Presidential Records Act says that upon the conclusion of a president's term in office, the Archivist of the United States shall assume responsibility for the custody, control, and preservation of and access to the presidential records of that president. They were not his documents to have. They're the American people's documents. That is the Presidential Records Act.
I don't think the Presidential Records Act was mentioned anywhere in the indictment. 44 pages, 45 pages, I don't think it was mentioned. There's always a back and forth between administrations when they leave the president and the National Archives. That's just normal course of business. But not this time. They decided once again they were going to go after President Trump, something the country has seen the left do, seen the Democrats do for the past 7 years.
Freaking Jim Jordan. I wanted to point out a few things in this. I was taking some notes while I was watching it again for the second time. First of all, the security. It's a Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is secured by the Secret Service. It is far more secure than any place Joe Biden was secreting his 1,850 documents. It's far more secure than the server that Hillary Clinton was transmitting top secret state freaking secrets through an open email server that they know foreign agents were hacking into. Just along those lines, it's like, oh, does it look secure in that bathroom? The whole place is secure. It was known as the Southern White House. So really, it's, other than the White House, it's probably the most secure place you would want to keep documents. As to him lying to his lawyer, that's, first of all, that's presumptuous. Jordan's absolutely right about equal protection under the law. This is ridiculous that you can have all these other presidents, going back how far, have taken documents home that were classified or whatnot. Think about Sandy Berger, who was chief of staff for Bill Clinton, went to the archives, stuck documents in his underwear, in his socks, and walked out with them. He wasn't prosecuted, was he? Was Sandy Berger prosecuted? I don't think so. And on the obstruction charge for moving boxes? Trump says to move some boxes, and that's obstruction? I mean, it's laughable. He was literally in negotiations with the archivist to send back stuff, and mid-negotiations, the FBI breaks into Mar-a-Lago and rummages through the entire place with the open warrant, which Mark Levin was saying yesterday. Open warrants were exactly one of the things that the founding fathers fought so hard against, because that was the king would just come in and search your entire premises looking for something that they could pin you on. That's what open warrants are all about. and this was an open warrant. Go rummage through like all of Mar-a-Lago except for rooms that third parties are renting out right now. I don't know. It's madness. Madness. Yeah, then Jordan makes the point about attorney-client privilege. The FBI straight up read the attorney's notes. That is like huge freaking red flag here, that this is completely a witch hunt. As to the speculation that what he was saying about whatever he was holding in his hand, because it's a recording, it's not a videotape, and you couldn't see whatever it was Trump was holding, saying that he could have classified it when he was president, but he didn't. Now, I think that was the weakest part of Jim Jordan's argument, but like Trump said, he has classified everything. So you're either taking Trump at his word here, or you're taking Trump at his word here on the speculation that he wasn't just making an argument. It's like, just like waving something around. Yeah, if I had a classified document, I could classify it then. I can't classify it now because I'm just sort of like explaining how things work. And you know how these guys work. They will take anything out of context. I'd take that with a grain of salt and just assume that since Trump said he just declassified everything, and Trump is not a political animal, right? He's a businessman. So he had documents that were in the boxes. They were all over the place. Everybody knew about them. Every president has them. Apparently some vice presidents take them when they're not supposed to. Apparently, even when those vice presidents, who are now president, or at least sitting in the office, were senators, they were taking papers that were classified. Papers they had no right to having. Trump is the least of all evils when it comes to having documents, when it comes to having classified documents. He is the least of the evil. Yeah, I guess that's my commentary on this whole thing. Again, Jim Jordan, freaking razor sharp dude, just tears a new one on the CNN host. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment below, and make sure you watch this video before it disappears.
America! America!